Nelson, do you think that was this like concerning for you for Humanoid? Because like Dom said about the Larson story, Humanoid is supposed to be the opposite. He's supposed to be the guy where I joke it's like, he comes on a fucking motorbike last minute to the stadium with a leather jacket and a fucking girl and goes like, all right, love, just got to play a series. Then he goes in and then the joke is like, that's when he's supposed to smurf and come back and be clutch. And like, essentially he looked like the opposite of himself in the series. What do you think of that angle?
I mean, if I was like in Fnatic, I would have done the same because I'm pretty sure they're like almost unbeaten in practice with Twisted Fate. So why wouldn't you go with like your most practiced pick? But I think it was
because you just lost 2 games on it.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. Like, because you just lost 2 fucking stage games and they weren't even close. You're getting fucking obliterated with it. So why not just go to like a different strategy? Why lose the same game 3 times? Why never go red side? Either game 4 or game 5.
As in, I mean, for sure, for game 3 and 4, I just think they just needed to ban Hecarim because there's a champion which can beat any comp. At least, in every scrim against every team, like Hecarim is just the highest prio.
Okay.
And almost never loses. And I'm not sure why.
Why not just draft the Hecarim? Why not just first pick Hecarim when you have blue side here? Yep. You could first pick Hecarim, give them TF, and then Humanoid can play the Sylas into TF if you think that's like, the counter. I don't know. I feel like there's so many other options besides for playing the literal same. And if the enemy team still wants to give you TF, perfect. Then you get TF Hecarim. Like,
yes, exactly. But I think they're also afraid of Larson playing TF, so they wouldn't. And it's actually not a good matchup. But if you have Hecarim, it doesn't matter at all because the TF cannot pressure you, and he has to be careful of pushing out his lanes because he'll just get ganked by Hecarim.
What about this then? There's also the other side of the jungle matchup, which is, tell you what, as soon as Razork came off Volibear, there's a reason why I keep pointing out, like, I think this player is mega overrated in this lineup. Like, I'll give you the best way I can describe it like this. If I had to put both players, Razork and Malrong, onto the worst teams in the LEC, I think Razork would do way better. I think Malrong would actually int. Razork on Fnatic, though, I just don't think he fits the team, mate. Like, he was all right in the Volibear games. Aside from that, like, he just disappears off the map. Sometimes he's fucking doing nothing.
I mean, I feel like there's not much you can do in these games, though. Like, they literally just, like, so for example, game 4, the whole strategy was level 1. Their whole strategy, like, the only reason they drafted Braum is because they want to do this level 1 on Hecarim, because Hecarim has a really weak level 1, and that is how you fuck over this champion. You invade him. Yes. If you, like, kill him or you force him to, like, vertical jungle or something like that, the champion is fucking worthless. And the problem that I have with this strategy in this game is that you've seen Rogue respond to these same invades in previous games. So if you remember in week 8, there was a game where they played against G2, Rogue played against G2, and it was on the other side of the map where Trimby was just sitting top lane at like 140. Then Vade comes in from the Xinjiao, and I think it was an ochs on that game from G2. They're just waiting for him. They kill the Xin, they defend the Hecarim, and then Hecarim just completely takes over the game. Like, Rogue understands that literally Hecarim is so fucking OP if you get him a good start, that sacrificing a lane, sacrificing a teleport, whatever, like being late, all that stuff is worth it just because Hecarim will be enabled to be that strong of a pick. So I don't like Fnatic all-inning and then acting like they weren't expected. They're like, what the fuck? The Orin is here. It's like, you've seen this team do this before. This was like scoutable. You know that this team understands how valuable Hecarim level 1 is and they're ready to prepare it. And the Braum pick blind, I mean, you're just giving them the most free fucking recon game of all time as well. So I had a problem with that, and then I feel like because after that happens, Razork doesn't get to play the game. Like, Viego versus Hecarim, that game is fucking over. Like, Hecarim is just going to run over the entire game. So to me, I'm not as critical of Razork because I feel like the team strategy is, I mean, once it fails, like, he's gonna look the worst.
What about game 5 though? Because in game 5 he has his Viego, which has been playing all split, and he's playing against fucking Trundle. That's not even like a Malrang champion, mate. That's the game where I expect something to happen. Come on. You're picking your best champion in theory. It's game 5.
Yeah.
I think game 5, the main issue was, the issue was also draft, where if you see how the best teams they draft with Viego is they have a hard engage in on support because, you play around with jungle support and usually it's like Nautilus or Leona. And Viego with Thresh is a champion which doesn't do anything well. He does everything like on an average level. And he isn't really like a hard engage compared to like Nautilus or Leona. And Viego needs someone to start the fight so that he can get a reset. And with how teams draft nowadays in professional league, where both sides have engaged supports, as if you manage to kill the enemy support, the Viego will pick him up and 1v5 the fight. But if you can't do it, then Viego is useless.
Mm-hmm. I just think in this game, like Humanoid's so disrespectful towards Marong's ganks. Like when Marong's playing Trundle, you know this champion is not going to be farming wraiths and golems. Like this champion is going to do 3 or 4 camps and then show up in a lane and try to blow a flash, try to kill somebody. And just like with the way Humanoid's playing, like he could just ward on an earlier wave. He can make sure that he's at least tracking the Trundle and allow his Viego to use the advantage Viego has, which is that Viego can obviously clear better than Trundle. And if nothing happens in the game, Viego will be like more useful later on. So to me, this game, like I just feel like, I feel like Humanoid is just kind of sprinting it like on the TF. As soon as he dies, like the first 2 times, just feels like the whole game is over, to be honest.
I mean, it's just how they practice, right? Because if you practice seriously, you know that like there are some junglers which can only gank, and you have to ward, level 1, or you need to ward after first wave, after the second wave, and stuff like this is not seen very commonly in EU at least, because like for sure in these types of ganks, which Marong did in the last game, it happened like a million times, in LPL scrims, because it always happens where junglers would just instantly flip the gank.
What else is Trundle going to do?
Yeah, exactly, and you're prepared. And because of you experience it so many times in practice that you're prepared to not get killed on the official game.
And also, I did tell people, as much as I agree Hylissang should be an MVP candidate, the one player who can fucking handle Hylissang is Trimby. If you're gonna have to pick someone else, he's the other support that is the clear like elite tier support in the league. Like I think he, and the rest of the games once he got off Lulu, he looked great to me, Nelson.
I mean, I think this series, I think Rogue was very smart to pick red side, or I mean, Fnatic was not smart to pick red when they lost.
To not pick red, true.
Yeah, because I think if you have a team which can match up with Fnatic in lane, which I don't think it's so. Basically, you just need to have a very good like AD carry support, and you give last pick to your support. I think it's always a win, as long as your other lanes don't get stomped, which I mean, it's not the hardest. I mean, for sure, mid for some matchups, for sure, it's hard. But I think top lane, Wonder is not as good as not as good at like extending his leads or making his lead like big enough so that he can 1v9 the game. Yep. At least compared to like Broken Blade.
I mean, when I'm watching this game 5, like Razork is getting griefed by his laners so incredibly hard. Like I don't know how he's not typing to them in the middle of the game, like flaming them for what's going on. So you see the Trundle gank mid, which is like, what else is the fucking Trundle gonna do? The Trundle has like no angles in the early game. Like, you just know when he's going. It's super predictable what the Trundle's gonna do. So Humanoid dies. Even if you say like, okay, yes, you should never die to the mid gank with Trundle as TF level 3. But let's say something happened where they just like had completely wrong information. They didn't know where Trundle started, and they expected him to be on the other side, because the only reason this gank works is because Humanoid face checks the bush in melee range of Marong, and then Marong kills him, right? Then you see him exit topside, going for top crab. You see Marong exit topside, going for top crab, and at the same time, Razork is diving bot. Razork makes a good response play. They dive the bot, they get a kill. And then Marong just kills top as well. It's like you literally just saw him kill mid, and now he just killed top. How the fuck is that possible? Like, the more I watch this, the more I'm like, I don't think what Razork's doing is a problem at all. I feel like his laners are playing like Marong is just like, I don't know why they're disrespecting him so hard, because this is what Marong does. Marong is the guy who loves to gank, and they're just giving him the free opportunities. Like, if you look at the play, you look at the way that Wonder is trading, he's like under turret hitting Odo Omne when he knows the Trundle is topside. And then on top of that, he fucks up his E, and he gets like pillared out of his E, and then it's just doomed. So I don't know.
I think the most egregious one is the one at mid lane, because so right now, like mid lanes, I think most mid laners, if you are playing the TF against Silas, you want to crash either on second wave or third wave. And the reason why you should crash on second wave is you crash on second wave if the enemy jungler can solo kill you. You want to crash on second wave so that you can ward. But if the enemy jungler is like, I don't know, Zac, or maybe like Skarner, then you can crash on third wave and then you ward, or even base. And it's mainly to prevent like the tree cam into gank, or getting like ganked when you're in the river placing wards. And this is where he made a mistake.
I mean, go on. This is just so egregious, though. When you look at what actually happens in this gank, like so Humanoid isn't even crashing the wave. He's just like AFK pushing, and then It's 255, and he just walks with no vision at all. He just walks straight into the side lane bush, and Trundle is just there and just starts auto-attacking him. Like, how do you fuck up so bad in a gank situation where Trundle literally, the melee jungler just walks up and just starts auto-attacking, just beating your ass with the club? It makes no sense. It's like, how did you end up here? Like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you just like face checking the Trundle? Like, because you would expect him at least to have like some information of where he started, like be hugging the other top side. Maybe they have to like double flash on him, and if they hit everything, it ends up being a wild kill. But this was like super fucking easy for the enemy team. This was crazy.
No, I mean, you just based on like theoretically, you just should crash on a second wave, and if he didn't, then he just didn't think about like how strong Trundle is at level 3.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.